All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar, and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the nation at 4 p.m. this evening in wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Centre issues new guidelines for Unlock 2.0 to open up more activities in areas outside containment zones. Metro rail services, schools, colleges, cinemas and gyms to remain shut. Door-to-door survey for COVID-19 in Delhi to be done in containment zones by 6th of July, says Home Ministry. India and China to hold third round of talks to de-escalate tension in eastern Ladakh. Government bans 59 mobile apps prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India. And flood fury continues in 25 districts of Assam, around 13 lakh people affected. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the nation at 4 p.m. today. Prime Minister's office said this in a tweet following the Home Ministry's announcement of Unlock 2 guidelines. This would be Prime Minister's sixth address to the nation since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Modi had last addressed the nation on the 12th of May when he had announced a 20 lakh crore rupee financial package to boost the economy, recovering from corona-induced lockdown. In his Mann Ki Baat address last Sunday, the Prime Minister had urged the people to be more vigilant in the unlock phase and take more precautions. The centre has issued new guidelines for Unlock 2 to open up more activities in areas outside the containment zones. The new guidelines will come into effect from tomorrow, and the process of phased reopening of activities has been extended further. It said the lockdown will continue to be implemented strictly in the containment zones till the 31st of July this year. Home Ministry has said that the new guidelines are based on the feedback received from states and UTs and extensive consultations held with the related central ministries and departments. Under the new guidelines of Unlock 2, metro rail service, operation of cinema halls, gymnasiums, swimming pools, entertainment parks, theatres, bars, auditoriums, assembly halls and similar places will not be allowed. Similarly, social, political, sports, entertainment, academic, cultural and religious functions and other large congregations will not be permitted. The ministry said dates for opening of these will be decided separately based on the assessment of the situation. It said all activities except these will be permitted outside the containment zones. The ministry said after extensive consultations with states and union territories, it has been decided that schools, colleges and coaching institutions will remain closed till 31st of July. As per the guidelines, night curfew timings are being further relaxed and curfew shall be in force from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Further, relaxations in night curfew have been given for seamless operation of industrial units in multiple shifts, movement of persons and goods on national and state highways, loading and unloading of cargo, and movement of persons to their destinations after disembarking from buses, trains and airplanes. It said domestic flights and passenger trains have already been allowed in a limited manner and their operations will be further expanded in a calibrated manner. It said shops, depending upon their area, can have more than 5 persons at a time. However, they have to maintain adequate physical distance. Training institutions of the central and state governments will be allowed to function with effect from 15th of July. SOP in this regard will be issued by the Department of Personnel and Training. International air travel of passengers has been permitted in a limited manner under the Vande Bharat mission. Further opening up will take place in a calibrated manner. The guidelines said containment zones are required to be carefully demarcated by the state governments with a view to contain the spread of COVID-19 after taking into consideration the guidelines issued by the Health Ministry. Within the containment zones, strict perimeter control shall be maintained and only essential activities allowed. These containment zones will be notified on the websites of the concerned district collectors and by the states, and information will also be shared with the Union Health Ministry. Details by our correspondent.
The new guidelines said that states and union territories, based on their assessment of the situation, may prohibit certain activities outside the containment zones or impose such restrictions as deemed necessary. However, there shall be no restriction on interstate and intrastate movement of persons and goods. No separate permission, approval and e-permit will be required for such movements. National directives for COVID-19 management shall continue to be followed throughout the country with a view to ensure social distancing. Shops will need to maintain adequate physical distancing among customers. Home Ministry will monitor the effective implementation of the national directives. Vulnerable persons, persons above 65 years of age, persons with comorbidities, pregnant women and children below the age of 10 years are advised to stay at home except for meeting essential requirements and for health purposes. The use of Arogya Setu mobile application will continue to be encouraged. With Anand Kumar, Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
The Maharashtra government yesterday extended the COVID-19 lockdown by a month till July 31, while imposing stricter restrictions like reduced time allowed for shopping. As per the new set of instructions, people will be allowed to travel within Mumbai metropolitan region to only attend offices and for essential services and not for shopping. More in this report.
The Maharashtra government has decided to seal the borders and major roads connecting the city and to its major suburbs. While issuing fresh guidelines for Mission Begin Again, it has imposed restriction on movement for non-essential activities within the neighborhoods. While city police had already started action if citizens move beyond 2-kilometer radius for availing services, the Mumbai civic body has come up with an order that made wearing mask compulsory, failing which ₹1,000 as fine will be imposed on violators. Nivedita, AIR News, Mumbai.
The Tamil Nadu government has also extended the statewide lockdown till July 31st. A statement issued by the government in Chennai says the lockdown would be implemented with a raft of relaxations. However, in Chennai, Madurai and the suburban areas, the prevailing complete lockdown will be enforced till the 5th of July. Meanwhile, the total COVID-19 infection in the state has exceeded the 86,000 mark as 3,949 people tested positive for the virus yesterday. More from our correspondent.
The Tamil Nadu government's decision to extend the present lockdown is in consonance with the Unlock 2 as announced by the Union Home Ministry yesterday. One of the additional features this time is the suspension of public transport within districts till July 15th. In all the forthcoming Sundays in July, there will be a complete lockdown to avoid crowding. Places of worship that normally see a smaller crowd in rural areas are allowed to have public access. In containment areas, there will be full lockdown. In other places, the restrictions have been considerably lifted for various offices. However, establishments like malls, educational institutions, resorts, and famous tourist places have been asked to remain closed. In hotels, dine-in service with 50% of the seat occupancy is allowed again. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
The government has said a total of 3,21,723 people affected by coronavirus have been cured in the country so far. In the past 24 hours, 12,010 people have recovered from COVID-19, and with this, the recovery rate has reached 58.67%. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry said a total of 19,459 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the country within 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 5,48,318. In a single day, 380 deaths have been reported, taking the nationwide toll to 16,475. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 2,10,120. The Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, has said 1,70,560 samples were tested for coronavirus by various laboratories in the country within 24 hours. The Union Home Ministry has said that door-to-door survey for COVID-19 in Delhi will be done first in the containment zones on priority basis by the 6th of July. The decision to extend the date has been taken as numbers of containment zones has increased to 435 in the city. The ministry said this will be followed by door-to-door testing in the entire Delhi city. Delhi has recorded 2,084 fresh cases of COVID-19, taking the infection tally in the city to 85,161. A total of 57 deaths have been reported in the national capital in the last 24 hours due to COVID-19.
In Madhya Pradesh, the school bells will be ringing in the houses and homes of the state too from July 6. Children will read, perform yoga, write and listen to stories and make notes on them. In order to maintain the academic regularity of students during the corona crisis, the State Education Centre has prepared a Hamara Ghar, Hamara Vidyalay, means My Home, My School scheme, in which children will be taught at home in a school-like environment. Our correspondent has filed this report.
Hamara Ghar, Hamara Vidyalaya scheme has been prepared for the students of class 1 to 8. Under this scheme, students will now be able to study in the school environment at their home. The home school will be started by a sound of bells or thali at 10 a.m. and at 1 p.m. school will be closed in a similar manner. This will give children a sense of school at home. A suggestive timetable is also being made available to parents and students by the State Education Centre, according to which studies will be conducted on Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The recreational activities will be organized on every Saturday under Masti Ki Pathshala. At the same time, 2 hours in the evening, students will listen to stories from the elders of their families and make notes on them. They will also take part in yoga and other sports activities at their home. Principal Secretary Rasmi Arun Shami said that children learn something from every occasion. It is a responsibility of the department to support children in every way, even when the school is closed. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Gujarat, the total number of cases of COVID-19 have reached 32,023 as 626 new cases were reported during the last 24 hours. Quoting the State Health Department, AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that 19 patients have lost their lives, taking the total deaths due to COVID-19 in the state to 1,828. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Gujarat has reported more than 600 new cases on the third consecutive day. Ahmedabad recorded 222 new cases. 185 new cases reported from Surat, while 47 new cases reported from Vadodara. According to official sources, out of 6,947 active cases in the state, conditions of 63 patients are critical and they are on ventilator. 440 patients have been recovered during the last 24 hours. More than 3,67,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Meanwhile, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has declared 7 more micro-containment zones. Door-to-door surveillance has been launched in all these micro-containment areas. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
In Telangana, the central team has visited several medical and health facilities and containment zones in Hyderabad to take stock of the COVID situation. The team, led by Joint Secretary Health and Family Welfare Love Agarwal, visited the recently set up Telangana Institute of Medical Science at Gachibowli, Gandhi Government Hospital and a few containment areas in Hyderabad. The team also called on Chief Secretary Somesh Kumar and met with other senior officials. The state government, in coordination with the Health and Family Welfare Ministry, will formulate an action plan to fight COVID-19 for the next 2 months. The West Bengal government has decided to form Corona Warriors clubs in the state. Announcing this at the state secretariat yesterday, Chief Minister Ms. Mamta Banerjee said that the clubs will be formed with those who have recovered from corona infections. More from our correspondent.
The members of Corona Warriors Club will be engaged for giving necessary tips, advisories to corona-infected patients, besides giving them mental strength to fight against corona. The Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee told that these club members will work at different government hospitals. The state government will give them incentives and daily allowances. The club will be formed in each district. Such Corona Warriors Club has already been formed at Baharampur in Murshidabad district, comprising 60 members. All of them have been engaged at medical colleges in Murshidabad, Malda and Kolkata. Around 12,000 people have already been recovered from corona infections in the state so far. Arijit Chakraborty, AIR News, Kolkata.
Uttarakhand government will start Char Dham Yatra from 1st July. However, only pilgrims from the state will be allowed to visit the shrines. Uttarakhand Char Dham Devasthanam Board has issued a standard operating procedure for Char Dham Yatra and fresh guidelines for the pilgrims amid novel coronavirus spread across the country. The Char Dham Yatra, which includes a visit to the Kedarnath temple, attracts lakhs of tourists and devotees every year from across the country and abroad. According to guidelines, e-pass will be issued to the residents of the state only. It will be valid only for darshan at the shrine. People from containment, buffer zones and quarantine centers within the state will not be allowed the pilgrimage. In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of the leading medical experts on COVID-19. Dr. Nandakumar, Professor of Psychiatry, AIIMS, suggested people to stay at home, spend time with family members and practice yoga.
We are going to overcome this crisis within a few weeks. In the coming few weeks, stay at home, spend time with the family, do household work, exercise, listen to music, sing with the family, do yoga, meditation and take care of emotional needs of the family.
Dr. Anvita Agarwal, Resident Infectious Diseases, AIIMS, advised people to not be negligent and stay at their homes.
Coronavirus may be invisible, but the number of people affected are very much visible, and the numbers are increasing from day to day. Don't be negligent. Please stay at home.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the nation at 4 p.m. this evening in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Centre issues new guidelines for Unlock 2 to open up more activities in areas outside containment zones, metro rail services, schools, colleges, cinemas and gyms to remain shut. Door-to-door survey for COVID-19 in Delhi to be done in containment zones by 6 July, says Home Ministry. India and China to hold third round of talks to de-escalate tension in eastern Ladakh. Government bans 59 mobile apps prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India. And flood fury continues in 25 districts of Assam, around 13 lakh people affected. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
अपने साथ अपनों का ध्यान रखो, बड़े बुजुर्गों का तुम ध्यान रखो, तो बात करो, कुछ मदद करो, कोरोना के चलते याद रखो, घर से निकलो तो मास्क पहनना, मास्क के पीछे मुस्कुराना, सुरक्षित दादा दादी नाना नानी अभियान, अपने साथ अपनों का ध्यान.
Indian and Chinese militaries will hold another round of Lieutenant General level talks today in an attempt to de-escalate tension in eastern Ladakh. The meet will also finalize modalities for disengagement of troops from the sensitive region. It will be the third round of Lieutenant General level talks, and sources said it will take place in Chushul sector on the Indian side of line of actual control. The meeting is scheduled to start at 10:30 a.m. The Indian delegation at the talks will be headed by 14 Corps Commander Lieutenant General Harinder Singh, while the Chinese side is likely to be led by the commander of the Tibet Military District. The first two meetings had taken place at Moldo on the Chinese side of the LAC. In the second round of talks on the 22nd of June, the two sides arrived at a mutual consensus to disengage from all the friction points in eastern Ladakh. Our correspondent, quoting official sources, said the two sides are expected to deliberate on the implementation of an agreement arrived at the first round of the Lieutenant General talks on June 6th. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists have been killed in an encounter that broke out between terrorists and security forces in Vegama, Bihara area of South Kashmir's Anatanak district this morning. According to the police, a joint team of Anatanak police, Army's 3RR and CRPF laid a coordinated search operation on specific information about the presence of terrorists in Vegama area. Search operation in the area is on. Further details are awaited. The government has banned 59 mobile apps which are prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India, defence of India, security of state and public order. Electronics and IT Ministry said in a release that these apps were banned in view of information available. They are engaged in activities which are prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of the country, defense of the country, and security of state and public order. The banned apps include TikTok, Hello, and WeChat.
Taking a sharp jab at Congress President Sonia Gandhi's comments on profiteering through increase in fuel prices, Union Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said the government is using the resources for development of health and social infrastructures. Speaking to media in New Delhi, Mr. Pradhan said due to COVID-19 pandemic, energy industry is going through a tough time. He said demand for petrol went down by 70 to 80% in April-May months in the country, which directly impacted economy. The minister said that now the demand is picking up again. He said no one can predict oil prices, but it is being estimated that as prices in the international market stabilize, prices in India will also stabilize.
कोरोना की वैश्विक महामारी के कारण दुनिया में एनर्जी इंडस्ट्री, विशेष करके तेल और गैस इंडस्ट्री एक विचित्र स्थिति के अंदर गुजर रहा है। कच्चे तेल की दाम नीचे जाके फिर थोड़ा ऊपर आने लगा है। विश्व भर में एक अस्वाभाविक परिस्थिति बनी हुई है। अप्रैल और मई महीने में तो भारत में पेट्रोल डीजल की डिमांड 70-80% तक चली गई थी। उसकी सीधी प्रभाव राज्यों की अर्थनीति में, देश की अर्थनीति में, राजस्व की आमदनी में आती है। जून के महीने में धीरे धीरे ये वापस आ रही है।
The government has announced the launch of 7-year floating rate savings bonds 2020 taxable scheme commencing from 1st July. According to an RBI notification, floating rate savings bonds will enable a person resident in India or Hindu undivided family to invest in a taxable bond without any monetary ceiling. The interest on the bonds is payable semi-annually on 1st January and 1st July every year. The coupon on 1st January 2021 shall be paid at 7.15%.
The National Fertilizers Limited NFL has launched 5 mobile soil testing labs for testing the soil samples at the doorstep of farmers free of cost. It will give further boost to the soil testing facility in the country for promoting appropriate use of fertilizers. Chairman and Managing Director of NFL, V.N. Dutt, flagged off one such mobile lab from the premises of NFL corporate office in Noida. These mobile labs, loaded with latest soil testing equipment, will be used for macro and micronutrient analysis of soil. In Andhra Pradesh, 2 people died and 4 others were injured in an incident of gas leakage at Parwada Pharmacity in Visakhapatnam today. According to the Police Commissioner of Visakhapatnam, R.K. Meena, the incident happened at midnight when some workers were on duty. The gas leak occurred at Sinor Life Sciences Private Limited. A shift in charge and a chemist died, and 4 workers who fell sick after inhaling the gas were shifted to KGH Hospital. He said at present the situation is under control and peaceful. This is the second incident of gas leakage in a span of 2 months in Visakhapatnam. More than 10 people died in the LG Polymers gas leak incident that took place in May.
In Mizoram, the people are celebrating the 34th anniversary of the signing of the historic Mizo Peace Accord today. The peace accord was signed between the Union government and the erstwhile underground Mizo National Front MNF on 30th June in 1986. The state government has declared a public holiday for the celebration of this historic day. AIR Azol correspondent reports.
On this historic day, no official function will be organized by the state government due to COVID-19 pandemic. Yet to mark the day, the MNF will organize a mega blood donation camp. However, different organizations, NGOs like Young Mizo Association are likely to organize area-based small functions. On the eve of Remnani or the Peace Accord Day, the Chief Minister Zoramthanga expressed his heartfelt greetings to the people. He said with the prayers of the people, peace has come. He also said people of the state are striving to maintain peace in the region and self-sufficiency. Irene, AIR News, Aizawl.
In Assam, there has been no respite from the flood fury as several rivers are continuously flowing above the danger level. 13 lakh people have been affected due to the current wave of floods in 25 districts. Borpeta, South Halmara, Gwalpada, Nalbari and Morigaon are among the worst affected districts. 24 persons have lost their lives due to floods. Apart from floods, land erosion has also been reported at many places. A report from our correspondent.
The surging water damaged crops, houses, infrastructures, river embankments and roads. NDRF and SDRF shifted 10,000 people to safer places during the last 24 hours. Administration is distributing food items, water packets, bleaching powder and halogen tablets. Meanwhile, the Assam government has said that there is no dearth of funds to meet the flood-related expenses. Chief Executive Officer of the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, AMS Manivandan, informed 46 crore rupees have been released to the district administration recently. Mr. Manivandan further said that, as instructed by the Chief Minister, a survey of the landslide-prone areas in Guwahati to be conducted. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Guwahati.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 24 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while maximum is expected to be around 40 degrees Celsius. City may witness mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was 16 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 33 degrees Celsius. The city will face mainly clear sky. In Gilgit, the minimum temperature was recorded at 15 degrees Celsius, maximum will be around 34 degrees Celsius. The sky will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Muzaffarabad, the city witnessed minimum temperature of 19 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature will be around 36 degrees Celsius with mainly clear sky. Chandigarh will witness partly cloudy sky with the possibility of development of thunder lightning. Minimum temperature 27 degrees Celsius, the maximum will be around 38 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 35 degrees Celsius. The city will face generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Bangalore witnessed minimum temperature of 21 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 29 degrees Celsius. The city may have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Ahmedabad will witness partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was 29 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 39 degrees Celsius respectively. Guwahati will witness generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature was 25 degrees Celsius, maximum 32 degrees Celsius.
Tehran prosecutor Ali Kasi Meher said Iran, through Interpol, has ordered arresting of 36 U.S. political and military officials, including President Donald Trump, who were involved in the assassination of Lieutenant General Qasem Soleimani. The Islamic Republic news agency IRNA reported that these people have been charged with murder and terrorist acts. The news agency stated that on the top of the list is U.S. President Donald Trump, and his prosecution will continue even after the end of his term. General Soleimani, the commander of Quds Force of Iran's IRGC, and some others were killed in a drone attack in Iraq by the U.S. forces in January this year, which had escalated the tension between Iran and U.S. to an unprecedented, dangerous level. Union Minister for Atomic Energy and Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh, has said that the launch of India's first human space mission, Gaganyaan, will not be affected by COVID pandemic, and preparations are going on in the right direction. Dr. Singh informed that even through the training of 4 Indian astronauts in Russia had to be halted due to the pandemic, but the department had kept a contingency cushion period both in the training program and launch deadline.
Now let's take a look at some newspaper highlights. All the dailies have reported the Unlock 2 will retain most curves, but night curfew hours will be eased. The Pioneer reports no metro, cinema halls, swimming pools till July 31. Delhi to set up plasma bank, launch helpline, writes the Hindustan Times, becoming the first state to do so. The paper adds that recovered patients willing to donate plasma will be given free transport. TikTok, UZ browser among 59 Chinese apps blocked as threat to sovereignty is the top headline in Times of India and all other dailies today. The Hindu says separatist leader Gilani quits Hurriyat conference. The ailing hardliner cites current situation as the reason to exit the group. An Economic Times headline report, digital payments bounce back to pre-COVID levels. In a big boost to the Indian Air Force's air power, France will deliver first 6 Rafales by end of July, writes the Asian Age. And finally, the Times of India cites the latest data release showing a decline in the infant mortality rate in the country under the headline, Infant Mortality Rate Down by 8 points in 5 years.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the nation at 4 p.m. this evening in wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Centre issues new guidelines for Unlock 2.0 to open up more activities in areas outside containment zones. Metro rail services, schools, colleges, cinemas and gyms to remain shut. Door-to-door survey for COVID-19 in Delhi to be done in containment zones by 6th of July, says Home Ministry. India and China to hold third round of talks to de-escalate tension in eastern Ladakh. Government bans 59 mobile apps prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India. And flood fury continues in 25 districts of Assam. Around 13 lakh people affected. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.